Good evening. Thanks for being here. I'm Troy Charles. Here are your top stories. There have been some slight delays in developing construction documents for the multi-use turf facility at Chapels Park, but it's not expected to have a major impact on the project's completion date. Council will receive the updated timeline on Monday evening. It was originally thought that the documents would be ready this month, but they're now expected to be finished in November. The project will go to tender shortly after that. The city expects to award the contract in February, allowing construction to begin in May of next year. The facility is still expected to be finished next fall in September or October. In other business, council will have to wait a bit longer for a report on possible future uses for the former Dees Pool site. Community engagement that was supposed to take place over the spring had to be pushed back due to COVID-19. That public consultation will now take place during the fall and winter months. City staff will now report back with a plan for the site in March. Hospitals in Kenora, Dryden, and Fort Frances are on the receiving end of a total of $500,000 to tackle the various infrastructure needs of those facilities. This comes as part of an annual funding packet from the province that, as Adam Riley explains, isn't glamorous new medical technology but critical components to maintain levels of care.
Through the Ontario government's Infrastructure Renewal Fund, the dialysis unit at Lake of the Woods District Hospital is moving on up to the 4th floor, which CEO Ray Reset says, in addition to relieving the dialysis unit of congestion, it will also have a positive effect for the emergency department.
Emerge is, probably even more congested than dialysis. So, we invest in one change and then we gain the benefit of the change on the backside for another service that also needs space. And it also, it just allows us to alleviate things which, from a patient point of view are pretty poor when you're really in crowded spaces. Think of COVID and the need for distancing and so on.
Reset says his facility received just over $300,000 for the project, and patients can expect the new dialysis bays to open up in November. The Dryden Regional Health Centre is putting its funding to the sum of $147,000 to work on replacing the facility's water heating pumps and boiler controls. It's nothing fancy, according to CEO Doreen Armstrong-Ross, but it is integral for operations.
Those are really key items, obviously, in an organization like this to keep us functioning, really important for our, surgical programs and, of course, anything that we do. So, they're not interesting medical equipment, but it is things that keep the building and the organization running.
Riverside Healthcare, which runs several facilities in the Rainy River District, including the La Vérendrye Hospital in Fort Frances, will be using its $108,000 to improve air filtration and circulation systems, something Kenora Rainy River MPP Greg Rickford says is very important right now during the pandemic. He knows the only way for hospitals to stay ahead of the service demands is with infrastructure work like this to prepare for what he calls a dual track.
One is to have capacity ongoing to deal with COVID. The other one is to ensure they have all of the tools at their disposal and the capacity in other important areas to get restarted or to expand because healthcare marches on.
Thunder Bay's Regional Health Sciences Centre received the most funding in the region, to the tune of $750,000, but no details have been provided as to what project that money will be allocated towards. Adam Riley, TBT News.
With Thanksgiving just around the corner, the district's medical officer of health is reminding residents that COVID-19 hasn't gone away and gathering sizes are now reduced. Dr. Janet DeMille is encouraging people to be very mindful of the gathering limits, which are set at 10 people indoors and 25 outside. Those gatherings should only include those in your social bubble, and if people can't social distance, mask wearing and other COVID measures should be taken, as social gatherings have led to a recent uptick in cases.
What we've seen across the province and in other areas in Canada, those types of social gatherings are leading to the spread of the virus. And there have been situations where over 50% of people in a private residence or a cottage have got the virus and then have gone and passed it on to people in their workplace or people in the school or something, and it spreads very quickly as a result of that.
For those traveling outside the region, DeMille is reminding residents to take extra precautions to ensure they're not bringing COVID-19 into their community. Officials at Thunder Bay Shelter House remain hopeful that the roof of the facility can be fully replaced following the launch of an online fundraiser last month. The shelter house put out an urgent plea for donations after realizing the shingles on the building, which just opened in 2006, were already worn out and needed to be replaced. Community members and businesses were given the choice to donate various amounts, starting at $50 and with the highest amount being $10,000. Executive Director Michelle Jordan says as the fall season approaches, the shelter is still over $23,000 away from their $60,000 goal.
Where we expect it to be. I think maybe we're a little bit over where we expect it to be, maybe. I'm positive we'll achieve our goal. And, we getting donations every day and support every day. So I'm sure we'll hit our goal soon.
Jordan notes that although it would be ideal to replace the entire roof at the same time, the main areas of concern are on the south and west portions of the building. She remains confident the big job can be completed in a timely manner, despite the impacts of COVID-19 on their fundraising process. There are varying degrees of reaction from politicians here in the Northwest following the federal throne speech in Ottawa this past week. On Wednesday, Governor General Julie Payette read the speech, which the Trudeau Liberals want to use as a hard reset, considering how much the world has changed since the start of the pandemic. Thunder Bay Rainy River MP Marcus Pawlowski says there were many positive points for residents in the Northwest. However, Kenora MP Eric Melillo says while he was happy to see northern priorities like drinking water and First Nations, broadband internet access and support for the tourism sector acknowledged, he was disappointed by what was presented overall.
I think we saw was not a new plan at all. We saw a plan to continue with the current track that the government is on, and a plan to re-promise already broken Liberal promises of the past. So our party and I'm hoping to see that. Where is that plan for people that are worried about their health and worried about their jobs, and really a plan to help get our economy back on track?
Melillo says he doesn't want to speculate if this could lead to a fall federal election, but believes it is up to the Prime Minister to win the confidence of the House when the parties begin debate. With the winter drawing near, the City of Thunder Bay is looking to finish a few small road and sewer construction projects. There are over 10 small projects the city is looking to have finished before the temperature drops. One of the major projects the city is currently working on has Amelia Street East closed from Edward Street to Ford Street for water main, storm, and sanitary sewer replacement. The project has been going on for several weeks, with city crews looking to have the paving done by the end of October. The road work for the major paving contracts is complete for the year, while some line painting work will still need to be done on Balmoral Avenue, which will cause some minor closures. City project engineer Brian Newman says the goal is always to try and have the projects wrapped up before the temperature drops.
Storm sewer projects that we can carry on into the fall, but anything that involves water work or concrete work or top lift paving, we like to get done prior to any 7 degrees and under temperatures. We're just trying to keep our projects on schedule as best we can, on budget, and hopefully we get a nice warm fall as best we can. That's always what we hope for. So if we can get that warm weather, we'll clean things up and wrap it up.
Meanwhile, Simpson Street from Pacific Avenue to Southern Avenue is expected to be closed next Friday for northbound traffic to finish the top lift paving. The 4th annual Multiple Myeloma March took place at Marina Park Sunday afternoon. Those taking part walked around the harbor front, raising awareness for the not well-known type of blood cancer. Multiple myeloma is blood cancer that causes cancer cells to accumulate in the bone marrow, where they crowd out healthy blood cells. This year's march was done individually by families due to the pandemic. The march not only raises awareness for the disease, also raises money for walkers who collect pledges after registering online. Over $4,000 was raised locally in this year's march. Jerry Vanderway was first diagnosed with multiple myeloma 8 years ago and has undergone many treatments over that time. He hopes today's march raises awareness for the not well-known type of cancer.
What we're doing here today, and it's a nationwide thing. They're hoping to raise $650,000 nationwide to go into the research for more cures, more treatments for everybody.
And multiple myeloma says multiple myeloma. It almost should say multiples of myeloma, because there's so many different ways that it exists. So it's just awareness for me more than anything.
Those looking for more information about multiple myeloma should visit myelomacanada.ca. The first ever fall market was held Sunday at the Da Vinci Center. Over 20 different vendors were spaced out throughout the facility, selling items ranging from cooking supplies to homemade crafts. The event was held after the original Mother's Day market in the spring was canceled due to COVID-19. Vendors were offering a variety of items, including baking and cleaning products, knitting items, and homemade jewelry and crafts, among others. Vendors were spaced out with a limit of 50 guests inside the market at one point. Anne Marie Plowski is the general manager of the Da Vinci Center and says city residents were eager for the long overdue market.
We were very lucky to have a lineup waiting outside all distance down the sidewalk. It was very nice to see people eager to come out and support local businesses. People here are doing their Christmas shopping and just kind of getting out and about, which is really nice to see. We also have our spaghetti going on at the same time, so we have a lot of people enjoying the center today. So it's very nice to see.
With the success of Sunday's marketplace, Plowski expects the fall market to become an annual event at the Da Vinci Center. Mike Mohorovich on the desk, always a good sign. And Mike, today, Sunday in Thunder Bay, beautiful weather, great for a local golf tournament.
Yeah, a little Ryder Cup style action between